Facebook is giving me some issues today. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope you guys are having a phenomenal Monday morning. Now, I know that a couple of you guys didn't have a chance to be on Mega Camp, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And I'll be honest, guys, I'm probably going to be talking a little bit about Mega Camp for the next ever, right? We'll be talking about it for a minute. There was some absolutely phenomenal announcements. There was amazing content. There was just so much that happened in the span of 4 days. And I want to share a little bit of that because I think that it's important that you guys know a little bit about what went on. So what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, when I usually go over our regular weekly market update, I'm actually going to share some of the market stats and some of the presentation that Gary Keller did with Jay Papasan, specifically around, the predictions that they have for the market. We're going to look at some stuff as it relates to the GDP, to inflation, even some stuff around historical pandemics that I thought was just so, it's so much information that is so incredibly important for you guys that I want to spend a little bit more time on it. So tomorrow, when we go through that weekly market update, I'm going to share a bit about that. The other thing that really drew me about, what we went over for Mega Camp and what was kind of that outstanding thing is that as I listened to all of these different agents that were speaking, it really just had to do with where was the consistency, right? It has to do with consistency. It has to do with time on task. There was one agent that really stuck out to me. His name is Darnell Ponte. He's an agent out in Florida. I actually had the chance to meet him last year. And the reason he stood out to me is he's a fairly new agent, right? He's been in the business about, when we're really looking at his production, it's been about the last 2 years, right? And he's a young kid. He's in his 20s. What stood out to me was in his panel, he spoke with 2 other agents. And the host actually said that when they reached out to this agent to speak on this panel, which was around zeroing in on your lead generation source, he emailed back and said, I just looked up the other speakers and I don't think I should be on this panel, right? He had a lot of humility. In fact, the 2 other panelists, so one of them, she was a little upset because she's competitive. And last year she achieved 97 million in volume. And she was mad that she was missing that last 3 million, right? To hit the 100 million mark. And the second agent on the panel, well, he hit the 100 million mark, right? And so this young kid felt that he wasn't meant to be on this particular panel. And yet I want to share a little bit about his numbers, and I want to share a little bit about what his business looks like, because I think it's important for us as whether we're in the business for a long time or whether we're new in the business, to take a couple lessons from that particular panelist. One of the things that he said, well, one, in 2019, he did 36 transactions. And he did 36 transactions in 2019 as a fairly new agent. In fact, primary source of business for him was open houses, right? His primary source of business was open houses. Now, fast forward to 2020, primary source of business being open houses, right? And having to pivot because we went into a pandemic. How many people in this call do you guys think his business went up or his business went down? I see Lisa saying up, right? His business went up. In fact, at the midway point of the year, he was at 38 transactions, this young 20-something kid from Florida. And what struck me about it is he said, I had a pivot. He attended Mega Camp last year. I actually met him last year at Mega Camp. We met, his team leader is a young team leader as well, which is how I connected with them. but we hung out with him and he was getting started. And I will never forget, because as I sat across the table from him, one of the things he had shared was how his mind was blown at Mega Camp, right? How he was hearing these top agents speaking, and he loved, you know, what they said about the models and systems. And so on this session that he was on last week, one of the things that stood out was he said, you know, I used to just do the business. I wasn't implementing the models. He goes, now all I did different, he said two things. I implemented the models, I stayed consistent, and I pivoted. His one thing that he does every single day that drives him business, any guesses what it is? It starts with one of our favorite social media platforms, right? A little blue icon called Facebook. He does a Facebook live stream every single day. Right? He does a Facebook live stream every single day. And what's interesting is that sometimes it's business, sometimes it's not, right? He does a series that he calls Guess the Price, where he'll show a property and have people guess the price of the home. And there's a lot of engagement that he gets from that, right? That he gets from that. And one of the things that was really interesting to me is, as I listened to the panels this weekend, there was a couple really interesting facts. There was a session that Google and Facebook did. And I am going to play that multiple times here in the office as much as we can. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, that's a session that I really would love to arrange sometimes for people to come in that want to see it, social distance style, right? Because Michelle from Facebook, literally the president of global business at Facebook, she shared that people are more likely to buy from brands that they find on Facebook and Instagram than the other 6 platforms combined. Wow, right? Than the other 6 platforms combined. Google said that there are 15, there are literally at any given moment, there are 15 million leads per month, 15 million leads per month that are searching things like virtual open houses, virtual showings, right? Virtual keywords was huge, right? That's huge. 8 in 10 Facebook users interact with Facebook business page on mobile, right? On mobile. And there are over 800, I'm going to say this again, 800 million people watching and engaging with Facebook live streams every single day. So I want to put that in perspective. I said 15 million leads per month on Google searching for virtual open houses, and 800 million people every single day engaging with Facebook live streams, right? And so this kid, his one thing has been doing Facebook live streams. No wonder his business has been so successful, right? Is all of a sudden we're in a pandemic and he's showing up where people are, where 800 million people are every single day. He's showing up on Facebook, right? He's showing up on Facebook with consistent real estate content, and he's reminding people that what? That he's in real estate. He's reminding people that he's in real estate every single day, right? Every single day. I thought that was absolutely phenomenal. I thought that was huge. I want you guys to take a moment and think about this, and participate with me, guys, right? I don't care if you come off mute, you jump in the comments. If I tell you soda, what's the first brand that comes in your head? Somebody say it for me.
Coke.
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 You said you mouthing it, you were on mute, but I saw you mouthing it. Coke, right? Some of you might have thought Pepsi, that's okay, but the majority of us, we pick one of the two, unless we have a favorite that is in our house. Then we might say that favorite, right? Because we're seeing it every day. Coffee. What coffee brand is the first one that comes to mind?
Folgers.
Starbucks.
Two, right? So at home coffee, Folgers, at home coffee, Folgers, which is true. That's what shows up in my parents' house. They've had Folgers for as long as I can remember. And then Claudia said Starbucks. A couple of you, I'll say this. I might have said Portos because I see Portos every single day, right? I might have said Portos because I see Portos every single day. When we think social media, what's the first social media site that comes to mind?
Facebook.
Facebook, right? We think Facebook. Here's the thing, guys. When your clients think realtor, who's the first person that comes to mind?
KW.
I saw a couple there, right? Well, that's the question. That's the question that we have to ask ourselves. And so I wanted to bring this back to a model that I've talked about before that I think is really important is we know Starbucks, why are they the first one we think of? Well, we drive by them on every corner. They're everywhere, right? Somebody walks in with a Starbucks cup and their branding is such that you can recognize a Starbucks cup no matter what, right? You recognize that anywhere. You recognize it anywhere. Coca-Cola, right? Coca-Cola, I think their campaign, was it the last couple years, the Share a Coke, right? With people's names and things on it. That was genius, right? It was genius. But you look at Coca-Cola's marketing throughout the years and they show up everywhere, right? They show up everywhere. Social media platforms. What I think is really interesting about Facebook is Facebook does what KW has done in a lot of ways, right? Facebook goes and says, oh, that's a great piece of technology you created over there, right? That's a great piece of technology you created over there, Instagram. We're going to buy you, right? We're going to buy you. And now you're part of Facebook. And now you could do ads and stuff through Instagram. And then they said, oh, that's a really cool thing you did, Snapchat. We're going to do that too, right? And now we have stories on Facebook. Yep. And then they said, oh, we really like this TikTok thing. And now we have Reels on Instagram, right? That's genius. Facebook just said, well, we're the biggest. We can get it out the fastest. So that's cool what you did, but we're going to do it too. And one of the things Josh Team, the president of our company, has said is he said, oh, that's a really cool thing you did, Zillow, right? That's a cool thing you did, Zillow. We're going to do that. We're going to take that and we're going to make it better, right? For our platform, for our users. The second thing around that is I want you guys to understand when we talk about database, because I will say it again, is everything, every single thing that we do in this business is around our data bank, right? Your database is your data bank. Your database, the relationships that you have, the relationships that you cultivate, you have to be the first person somebody thinks of when they think real estate. You have to be it. You have to be the only person in their head when they think real estate. How do you become the Coca-Cola? How do you become the Google of search engines, right? How do you become the Facebook of social media apps, right? How do you become the Starbucks of coffees, right? How do you become that for every single one of your clients? Well, there's something we call the 8x8, is we connect with somebody. It's a system, right? It's a system, a model. We connect with somebody and we have to solidify the relationship. We have to be the first person that they think of when they think real estate. We start with what we call the 8x8, which is 8 touches over 8 weeks, straight out of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. And that translates to then the 36 touch, where we touch them 36 times over the course of the year, all kinds of different touches, so that we keep mind share. So that when they think real estate, when they're at a baby shower over the weekend and they think real estate, they think us, right? That's the number one thing. Darnell, who I started the conversation with, he does it by live streams every single day, right? He makes sure that not only does he connect with people, send a message, right, connect with them, but then he also goes and he live streams every day. So he's in front of them all the time. I want to tell you guys why an 8x8 works. There was a company, if you've ever heard of them, there's a company called Hobbs and Herder. Hobbs and Herder is still around today. They're a marketing company. And decades ago, before Gary wrote the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, they did an experiment. What they did is they went to a particular neighborhood. And they called all the people in that neighborhood and they asked them, if you were to sell a home or buy your house, who would you use? Who's the realtor that you know? Who's the realtor that you trust? And there was a realtor in that area that was very well known. He had billboards and he sent out mailers. And most of the people in that neighborhood, they said his name. They said, I would use this agent, because they saw him everywhere. And some of them said, oh, I'd use this friend or whatever it might be, right? But they said, oh, I'd use that agent because he's everywhere. And Hobbs and Herder said, okay. And they hung up the phone and they did an experiment. They made up an agent. They made up an agent and they marketed to this group of people by sending out mailers, by posting things, by sending things to these people's homes for 8 weeks. And then they called them again, right? They called them again and they said, hey, wanted to see if you were to buy a home or sell a home, who would you use? And would you believe it that a good subsection of these people said the fake agent? It was a fake agent, you guys, an absolutely made up agent. This person did not exist. It was a fake agent. Because why? That fake agent did an 8x8 and had mind share. And all of a sudden was the Coca-Cola, was the Starbucks, was the Facebook, was the Google, was that fake agent. So when we say it's about following the system and the model, right? It's about, hey, how do I not only create that relationship, but how do I make sure that I'm the first person somebody thinks about? What is that system for me? So if you do one thing this week, guys, right? If you do one thing this week, I encourage you to make sure you have your 8x8. Right? I encourage you to make sure you have by 8. Now, given, I want you guys to do more than one thing. Make sure you're also lead generating, right? You got to also be lead generating. We don't stop with the lead generating. But I was thinking about that a lot this morning, right? I was thinking about that a lot this morning because that really, one, I hadn't heard the story of how the 8x8 came to be founded. And you guys know, what do I love to share? I love to share things that are backed by evidence, right? And Gary is a big evidence person. In fact, he still to this day, he funds and sponsors a research facility, a research department called the Keller Research Department at Baylor University. You can look that up, right? But that's where there's research that comes out because Gary, everything that he talks about and everything that he writes, it's based on research, right? It's based on proven models. So when we talk about the models of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, or we share, hey, this is how you be successful, time on task, right? How you stay consistent. It's at the end of the day, it all comes down to mind share. Is the person that has the most mind share is going to get the most business, right? It's going to have the most opportunity that is there for them because that's how we get those come list me, right? The, hey, I want to buy a home and they came out of nowhere people. We love those, right? We love those, but it's mind share. It's just mind share. It's simple. It's not easy, right? It's simple. It's not easy, but we don't have to overcomplicate it. I can't even speak anymore, right? I'm like going to make up words, you guys, but we can't overcomplicate it, right? It's simple. So lead generation. And if there's one piece of your business, element of your business that you work on over the next week, I want it to be the 8x8, right? I want it to be the 8x8. I want to know that at the end of this week, you have an 8x8, right? So that we can move on to the next piece. And here's the really cool thing. Go into Command, go into Smart Plans, go into the library, find an 8x8. There's plenty, right? There's a whole new library that opened up in there. Pick one and make it yours. Pick one and customize it, right? Is it that I'm going to call them, right? And ask a question. What are your real estate plans for 2020? You know, how's your day going, right? What's your week been like? Are you homeschooling? Is there some, right? Here's the other piece that's really important about that is we get the opportunity to cultivate a database of people that we like. Jason Abrams talks about that. And he said, if you like to do trivia, right? If you like to do trivia, that's what you like to do. Why not host a trivia night and create a database of people that enjoy the same things you do, right? Guys, you guys know me. Why am I in this role? I love talking about real estate. I can talk about real estate all day long. I love business. I love real estate. I will talk about this stuff until I'm blue in the face. That's why it's great, right? But I also, there's other things that I enjoy doing, and I cultivate relationships around that. I heard a phenomenal podcast, Karen Prawl, who's out in the other side of the coast, right? She sold 34 homes in like the 2006 going to 2000, like that era, right? You guys are gonna laugh. I was dying. I was laughing so hard as I listened to her talk about this. She sold 34 homes off of Match.com. Yes, she dated. She time blocked dating and set up like 3 appointments. I hear the laughing, right? She set up 3 coffee appointments and like 3 drink appointments a day. She looked for a specific type of person, and she was intentionally dating, not to get business, right? But she was intentionally dating to date, right? To actually date. What happened is she's like, well, I got friend zoned a lot. And those people ended up becoming my clients. And she sold 34 homes. But that's what she enjoyed doing. And she said the great thing was, is she's like, I got a great database of very attractive men that are homeowners. I was dying, right? I thought it was the funniest thing ever. You guys have heard me say it before. Every type of lead generation works if we're consistent, right? It doesn't have to be Match.com. It's are there things that you enjoy doing? I know some of you are parents, right? Are you taking advantage of the network that you have with your children's schools, right? Are there clubs that even your kids are in or that you're in? You know, the gym. Although I know right now social distance, right? But what are the things that you enjoy? What is that database that you're intentionally building around you? And how do you become the first person somebody thinks of, right? How do you become the first person that somebody thinks of? She said she used to go on a date and she'd be like, oh, I just got done showing properties, right? Oh, I just got done showing, oh, I came from an open house. And so what would they do? They'd ask about real estate. Genius. I thought it was the funniest thing. And it was genius. I'm going to share that podcast with you guys because it was great. It's a really good listen.
Especially with the single ladies out there.
And men, right? And men.
Yes, and men.
Single women are one of the fastest growing demographics of people buying property right now, right? Yeah. That's huge. So there's opportunity on both sides there, guys, right? For sure. But I wanted to share that with you guys this morning. I've been blown away by everything on Mega Camp. And I thought it was important to tie it together, right? I wanted to tie that together for you guys because there's a lot of times what happens is we go to a conference and we get a lot of information and we're downloading a lot, right? And it can be overwhelming and we don't take action, right? We don't take action. And so I want to kind of give you guys those little homework assignments, right? On if there's one thing that you implement right now is, do you have your 8x8, right? Lead gen daily, and do you have your 8x8? And we'll go through some of those different lessons. With that, guys, tomorrow, weekly market update, I'm going to share some of what Gary and Jay Papazan shared. It was an incredible analysis of what's happening in our world. It might take more than one session to go through, right? Because I want to make sure that if you have questions, you come with those questions. And we're going to talk about that. If any of you would like to, come on the side and have us play, a session from Mega Camp here in the conference room, come see me, right? Come see me and I will play it because I know not everybody had the opportunity to attend or could get a ticket. But I think that some of the information is very valuable. The market update specifically, the session with Google and Facebook, was a really good one. The interview with Brad Inman. And then of course, some of those sessions. And if you want recommendations, I'll ask you a couple questions and trust me, I'll find the right one for you because I am watching all of them. I take a while, but I'm gonna watch all of them. So we'll come with a lot on that. With that, I hope you guys have an absolutely amazing morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.